Okay, so I ended up doing, oh, let me tilt this down so you can see, a jacket for my aerial stuff. So I figured I could do a really quick tutorial. Obviously I have most of all my pieces already sewed together, so I mean, I don't think you need step by step on how to, you know, put all these pieces together. So basically you just make sure you have lining, outer, okay? You don't have to do this. I just recommend it, and since I know you have interfacing, to interface just if you're not going to line it, then try to make sure that this is small enough to where you won't see it on the other side. But if you are lining it, it doesn't really matter how thick it is. It's just interfacing. Same thing, I interface the edges of these for your waistband. I do it for the lining too if it's a stretchy material. Like this one didn't really technically need a lot because it's only a one-way stretch, but I do it just in case. It just makes it easier when you're sewing the zipper, so it doesn't stretch out. So, and I also, what you want to do is, you can't really tell I did it, but I have like iron, so it creased it right here, and then I just put a little mark, just so that you know that this is where, again, this only if you want it like reversible and you don't want to see any of your seams, so that when you fold this in half like that, that's basically your middle mark where it's going to fold, so you know that you're only going to put your zipper up to right there, and that way hopefully both sides are even. So after you get, also that's all the prep work basically. Doing hoods are a little different than collars because I only have a collar for this, but the concept is the same. The only difference is, instead of leaving the hole in the waistband to turn it to make it, you know, completely reversible and so you don't see any seams, you can leave it in your hood, and then top stitch around that so you don't see it as much. But since I have a collar, I will definitely be leaving mine in the waistband, so that's how I'll show you how to do it. Damn it, strings. Also, if you do any of the cover stitching or any of that stuff inside, don't worry about it being super pretty, because you're not going to see it if you line it, so that's also another positive. So you're just going to take your waistband. Oh, it was like, what the heck, why is that longer? It's not, it's just a zipper. So you're just going to take your waistband, one side of it, and match it all the way up to your outer layer. I like to do my outer layer first, and that's how most patterns will recommend you do it too. And depending on what pattern you use, it will also determine how they decide you want to do it. This is just how I found to work best, because even in this pattern itself, it doesn't say to do it the way I'm doing it, so I think it's just personal preference, really. Also, for your zipper, obviously, ideally, the zipper will be the perfect length, right? So that you don't really have to worry about making sure you close up the top or whatever, so it doesn't come off. But mine are never perfect because I just have a big batch of zippers I got for really cheap. So, like, this one I'm using right now is super long for this pattern, but that's alright. Again, it does not necessarily have to be. And some of them, like this one, is having you stretch it a little bit. I try not to stretch the front part as much because that's where, oh, I lost my clips. You know, it's going to be on your kid or whatever. I like to stretch the back the most. But again, it doesn't, every pattern is going to be a little different depending on which one you use. But so follow the instructions for that part, whether or not it wants you to stretch. Some of them will only have you stretch certain spaces. So it's really just dependent. But yeah, just go do that and then come back and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now your waistband's on here, right? The way it should be. Again, I know if you look at it now, it looks like this line is a little higher, but that's because, you know, your seam allowance or whatever. So all you're gonna do is take your separating zipper. Like I said, mine is super long, but it's also super nice because then I don't have to worry about the pull being all in my way when I'm trying to sew. So you just make sure that this is facing the right way. So you want right sides together. Oh, I keep forgetting one. Oh, here we go. Right sides together. You can also, again, you want to match it up with that line. And you want to match the end piece, because you can see like how this little end piece sticks out a little more. Then right here, not everybody does that. I just personally do it because it's not going to be in your jacket. So when it goes like this, obviously it's not a lot, but that little bit can make a difference. So again, just match up this little piece right here with your thing. You could use Wonder Tape too, which I know a lot of people use when they do their zippers. I personally don't do it, but I know a lot of people that do. But I would put a decent amount of clips down. Let me move my new jar over here. So again, like mine's not very long, so I'm not too worried about it. But this is how you want it to look, and then you're just gonna sew it down. So remember, right side's facing here. Whatever your pattern calls for, I typically take 1/4 to 1/2, depending on my zipper. This one I probably am gonna take 1/4, but I'm pretty sure my pattern calls for 3/8, but I just like 1/4 better for the zipper. So just sew that down and then come back. Okay, so now your zipper's on here. Obviously I like to look at mine, and you know, it looks like I did it pretty straight. There's no waves or anything. And this is important to note. Now I guess it did go in a little bit right. No, that's all right. Let me see if I have it. Anyway, the reason is because on the stitch right here that you have, if you can see, it's yellow. You're gonna go back over that exact same line when you put the lining into it. So what you're gonna do now? Oh my gosh, there's strings everywhere. You're gonna line this up with your other side. Okay. Again, I have my little mark there, and I'm gonna put it there. Some people will unzip it, like unzip your thing. I don't personally do that, only so that I can make sure all of my stuff is lined up in the same space, if that makes sense. Like I like to double check all my stuff, make sure I don't need to like move one section up a little more. That needs to so that's just, again, it's always personal preference. I just personally prefer to do it when it's still, again, obviously it doesn't give you a lot of space, but I feel like my stuff lines up a little better when I don't unzip it and I just fold it over. Like I should be, see, somewhere. This wasn't lined up perfectly because you can see how it's a little baby bit off. So sometimes I'll just scoot that up to where it matches. Adjust my zip. Oh, yep, see I had a little too much of a gap in my top part. So this one I tend to use a couple more clips only because I want to make sure that everything is lining up. So I check my ends, see my ends are lined up. So that part's good. And then I like to check my I'm gonna push that down. Okay, it is good. You know, I just like to try to make sure that everything is lined up with my clips. Some people will use glue too. Like again, like I said, it's all really big personal preference on how you do this. I just think I've done enough zippers that I kind of just can look at it and know. But whatever works for you. I've used like the really thin, like Wonder Tapes. You don't really see it and it washes away. I have used glue before. I didn't like that though because I got some on the outside and then it would fucking come off. So like I said, it's all personal preference. And like I said, on the second one, I kind of use a couple more zippers just so that I know everything is not going to shift whenever I do this. So go ahead and sew the other end and our other side and then come back. Okay, so once that's done, you're just gonna take, you can just take your thing and flip it. And then you can just kind of make sure, what the heck? That's where I have to do it a minute ago. Don't be like me and accidentally catch your other side. But if you do, make sure you pull all the strings out. I'll fix that in a little bit. But you just kind of want to look, right? You just want to look, make sure it's all pretty even. You can see like down here where my line, I don't know if you can see this because they're both green. Where my lines matched up. And like on this side, I always make sure that I push both of these down. Okay, so now you can unzip it. Make sure that, you know, the little pieces pull out just okay. And so if you weren't going to line it, this is where most people, what they would do is they would just top stitch this down, and then you could even take, and what I do is I will take a piece of bias, like pre-made bias, and I basically would wrap this around like this, and then push my zipper this way, just so that you don't see the zipper and it doesn't agitate your kid. But if you were to do it like this, you would have sewed the waistband folded over like this and did your zipper. But like I said, you definitely can do it this way, and then you would just run it all the way up, and then you would just fold it over this top part, and then you would top stitch it down. So you definitely can do it that way if you didn't want to line it. And like, neither way is really easier than the other. I just personally think when you don't see the zipper at all, it's more comfortable for your kid, and I just think it looks better. So now make sure your zipper is at the bottom. Yep. And then you will, if your zipper is too long, you're going to cut it. And then, here we go. Cut it. I personally pull off one or two of these right here. If they're metal. If they're plastic, it's not a big deal, but it does help it lay flatter. So in this particular pattern, oh, I think I just realized something. I was finding pieces that I had to put on the back of this, and I'm pretty sure this big piece I put right here is my collar. So I'm going to pause while I cut a new one. Okay, so now I've recut out. So mine obviously is a little different because I'm doing a collar. But if you're just doing a hood, you don't have to do it how I do it. You literally just start from where the zipper is right here, making sure it's flat out. and then sewing your hood all on the top of here. Just your lining hood, not your whatchamacallit hood. I mean, sorry, so it's your outer hood, not your lining hood. Your lining hood, obviously, you already have. And so basically you're not sewing it together before you attach them, so they're two separate things. So the hood, I would honestly just follow the tutorial, because I mean all of them are different. So this is my collar. So you're just going to sew your collar or your hood on right now. Okay, so your collar's on or your hood's on, whichever it is on, right? Boom. So now that's when you're going to take your lining. So you could do the cuffs first or the zipper first. I personally like to do the zipper first, just so that I can flip it right side out and know that I did it correctly. So yeah. Oops. So here's your jacket. And we'll flip it. So this is inside out. This is right side out. And then you're just going to stick it so that everything matches up. This is just like a preemptive, just so that I can have it. Oh my god. Oh, my life is crazy. So before you do that, you gotta attach this waistband to your bottom guy. So do that, and then you're gonna stick it in there. Oh my gosh. I think I need some more coffee today. But what you're gonna do, if you're not gonna flip it through the hood and you're gonna flip it through the waistband, basically, you will sew this down, and you're gonna leave like a, I don't know, 3 to 4 inch gap at the bottom. Basically, it's what you use to Jeebus, what am I trying to say? To flip it whenever it is completely reversible. But like I told you earlier, you can use your hood. So yeah, just go ahead and do that, and then come on back and sew it on, and I'll show you how to do the next part. Okay, this obviously is important. These need to be attached together. Okay, now back to so now your thing should look something like this. So now you're going to fold them so that, see, and when you fold this, your lines should match up. Should being a keyword, okay? Oh, I had a moment there for a second. I was like, these don't match each other, but they do. Now when you do this, you can tuck your sleeve in if you want, just so that it's kind of not bulky and it's out of the way. And since now you're not going to need to keep them together, you can go ahead and just do both sides. So you'll notice the one that has a zipper, if your zipper is down. So just be careful when you move your zipper up that you don't pull it off completely. Not that you can't put it back on, because Lord knows I've put them back on a couple times. But there it is, a pain in the butt to put back on. Sometimes you have to pull it a little. It's just because, you know, it's pretty stiff. But just make sure that they're matched up all the way. Like I had to pull that one a little to make them even, but my zipper is good. Do that to the other side too, because I just noticed it on this one. So you want to make sure that everything is lined up, just like we did. And you can just do one side first and then flip it to see, and then do the other side, and flip it and see. That's what the positive not sewing it all together yet is. So go ahead and do that, but you'll see, like, this is why this line is important, right? Because you're going to sew back over it. So basically all you're doing is matching the reverse side on wrong side down. Obviously if you had a reverse zipper, like this one won't be reversed, but I'm making it like it could be. It's going to not matter how you put your zipper down, but if you don't have a reversible zipper, it matters. So just sew along this line that you already had, right? To attach this other side to the zipper. Okay, do that and come back. Alright, so now you can see, I just like to flip it all the way out, like the right side way out, so you can see it. Like this is how it would look. Obviously we haven't finished it, but this is just so that I can make sure that, you know, everything is all good. My phone is about to die, but at least you can have the zipper part. And if you have questions on how to do the cuffs, just let me know and I'll go over that with you too. But then you can see, like, even the other side is all good to go. So if it had a reversible zipper, I'd be able to. And now all you're going to do when you flip this back out, right? Trying to do it real fast before my phone dies. Is that same line that you had a minute ago. Well, for you, if you're doing the hood, yours is pretty easy, okay? But for me, I'm going to sew along here again to attach these, and that's why I'll flip through the bottom. But if you have a hood, all you're going to do when you are, you can do this, right? Make sure your shit's all lined up and everything. But then flip it back out and you're just going to run it around your hood, attaching your hood pieces together, leaving a little hole right there to then top stitch, and then just run a top stitch right here where the zipper is all the way around your hood. So hopefully that helps some. Bye.